Welcome to the Todd Durkin Impact Podcast. I'm your host, Todd Durkin, and you're in for a treat today. I have my man, Brees, as our special guest today. If you're a football or sports fan, you obviously know who Drew is. He's the record-setting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints going into his 19th year in the NFL. He's first in many of the all-time records in NFL history, including career passing yards, career pass completions, and career completion percentage. He's second in career touchdown passes. He's passed for over 5,000 yards in a season 5 times. No other quarterback has done that more than once. He's led the NFL in passing yards a record 7 times, and in passing TDs a record tying 4 times. The list goes on and on and on. He's a future first ballot Hall of Famer who will be enshrined in Canton, Ohio at the end of his football career. To go a bit deeper, I've been training Drew for 16 years. It's crazy to think it's been that long. And in this episode, I wanted to dive right in and start talking mindset and football as he approaches this season. Drew's a throwback. He's a gym rat who works his butt off. Remember, he overcame a serious shoulder injury in 2005 when he was with the San Diego Chargers, which fortuitously led to him being released and eventually picked up by the lowly New Orleans Saints at the time. Just a few years later, in 2010, Drew was hosting a Super Bowl trophy and MVP over his head. He's got on to not only extraordinary success in his 19 years of playing in the NFL, but has created massive impact in not only the city of New Orleans, but throughout the country. I believe one of the reasons why Drew has been so successful is because of his mindset. It's truly unique. In this episode, I want to give you a peek on how one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time thinks, prepares, leads, and gets the most out of himself and his teammates. I even asked Drew about how he gets his mind right after a bad play or when facing some adversity in a big game. Pretty awesome stuff for any high performer listening in. Without further ado, let's join the conversation at Fitness Quest 10 after a recent training session just days before training camp began and see what makes this man tick. Today's podcast is sponsored by carnosine beta-alanine, an ingredient found in the top pre- and post-workout supplements. Along with the right training program and proper nutrition, carnosine helps build strength, endurance, and power. It works by buffering lactic acid in the muscle, which allows you to train longer and harder, plus speed recovery so you get back at it faster. Carnosine gets me dialed in for my workouts and keeps me going strong when exhaustion hits. The recommended dose is 90 grams over a 28-day period, which equates to 3.2 grams per day every day. So yes, I take it on my non-training days too. Carnosine is backed by over 55 scientific studies and contains 0 banned substances. And that's important when you're competing at the highest level like many of my athletes, or you just want to perform at your highest level also. Find carnosine in pre-workouts, post-workouts, or in standalone products at your local health food store. Look for the carnosine logo on the label to be sure you're getting the real deal. If you want the most out of your health and fitness program, choose carnosine beta-alanine. I'm confident it will help you like it helps me. To see the full list of carnosine verified brands and to purchase, visit www.team.carnosine.com. Again, that's www.team.carnosine.com and go to the Find Carnosine button in the drop-down menu. Build a better muscle with carnosine. All right, I am here with the man, Drew Brees. Drew, welcome to the show, baby.
Yeah, good to be on. Thank you.
We just got done with an epic workout. It's the last week before training camp starts, and he's getting ready for the 2019 season. So how you feeling, man?
I feel good. I feel really good. Getting revved up, ready to go.
Year 19. What's it like, year 19? What's that like?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy hearing that number because it doesn't feel like that. You know, I mean, it feels like I've played a while. I definitely feel like the veteran guy, you know, in the locker room and working out with these young guys, you know, trying to keep up with them and everything else. But I don't know. I think for me, it's about, you know, it's the responsibility of being the guy that sets the tone as well, right? Taking on that responsibility. You know, so I look at it as a great challenge. I'm extremely blessed to have been able to play this long. You know, when I really reflect back on, you know, that 2001 draft when I came here to San Diego for the first time, and here we are, 2019, right, going into year 19. Just, man, thinking about all the guys I've had a chance to play with, and thinking about how far we've come, right? from the original roots,
right,
not
that's
too
right.
far away across the parking lot here.
But
To
we don't look any different. We don't look any different.
no, man. Hey, age ain't nothing but a number, right? I mean, we feel good. We we push each other. We know how to have fun, but I think that's how you stay young.
What's the hardest thing do you think about? You think back to 2001, 2, 3, and even when LaDainian and you were working together in the beginning. What's the hardest thing now versus then?
Well, I kind of almost break it up into like those parcels. In the early years, right? It was kind of the OGs, the original. That was me, you, and LT for the longest time, right?
That's right.
And we would have some guys pop in every now and then, Reggie Bush and Alex Smith and some others, and they would try to keep up. Those guys are studs. But just like the mainstay, right? I can remember driving in on those mornings being like, man, I got to get my mind right because this is about to be a beast, a bear of a workout. And I think for both of us, we look at LT, greatest of all, one of the greatest of all time, and having the chance to be around him, and such a true professional, and the way that he approached his craft and the way that he worked. And, he pushed both of us to be the best that we could be as well. And so, I just, you go from that chapter, right, so to speak, to then, a guy like Sproles, right, been training now with Sproles for what, 8-9 years,
9 years,
right?
9 years.
So, we've had these groups of guys kind of come in, but, there was that LT chapter and then this Sproles chapter where kind of break it up into those two chapters where, that was beginning of the career and now kind of, towards the latter half of the career. But, man, the mindset, nothing's changed about the mindset. I love how we've evolved along the way. I feel like we've gotten better and better at what we do.
I tell you, you look at a guy like LT, you talk about mindset. I remember he started to take Darren under his wing, and now Darren, you see Sprolesy taking these other young running backs, and that's kind of his new challenge, is to kind of take them under the wing, and with these young quarterbacks coming in, and now you've done the same. It's kind of like, in some ways, passing of the guard or respecting. And you used to talk about that, way back in the day when you were early in your career about respecting the badge and that. And it's cool now to see how you and Darren are leading the way for even a lot of the younger guys as well.
Yeah, so when I came in the league, Doug Flutie, right, had been brought in to be the starter with San Diego, and I was going to be his backup. And I mean, no better situation for me, back then. Absolutely. To have a guy like that as a mentor and to learn from, because his style of football I felt like was my style of football. But it was at that time that I made the commitment that, as much as Doug was helping me, and there were some other guys around the league that I would reach out to, and they would give me a lot of great information, that I made the commitment then, that whenever a young QB would ever reach out to me, whether just, hey, I want a phone conversation, or, hey, can I come work out with you? I want to see what you do. I want to, and as you know, we've had plenty of those guys come through here, right? Just wanting a little glimpse into what we do. I always told myself, man, I'm going to just be nothing but open and honest and try to give them as much as I can, because I know how much has been given to me along the way. And so it's not like you're sitting here feeling like you're holding back secrets, or, you're protecting this little gold nugget over here. It's like, man, this is meant to be shared. This is meant to be passed on. And, I think that's the evolution of this game, is that there were guys that came before me that helped pass it to me, and now it's my job to pass it to them, and they're going to do the same, and that's how we all continue to make this game better and better.
Drew, I got a text from you a couple weeks ago that made me smile. You were watching Rocky IV with the boys, and it just put the biggest grin on my face, because I remember so many times, just even now, we listen, to the Rocky soundtrack, and now seeing the boys, watch Rocky. I think one of the things about Rocky is the passion that you have to stay on top. And today I want to talk about that, because I think it's really difficult when you're, number one, climbing to get into the NFL, stay in the NFL. Then you reach a certain level of success, and you've got to continue to retain your passion and the hunger and grit of what it takes. Talk to me about that mindset, because to me it's the mindset inside Drew Brees. I think people can get the most out of that. Where does that come from? That passion, that grit, that desire to stay on top?
You know, I grew up in an athletic family, right? Everyone in my family played sports. And so inevitably, even just the simplest family get-togethers would always end up being extremely competitive. You know, I mean, that could just be you'd have a free throw shooting contest at the barbecue, you know, or you'd just pitching washers. Or, I mean, I remember having plum seed spitting contest. And it was like, who's going to spit the plum seed the furthest? Like, we would come up with anything and everything to compete at, right? And so I've always loved to compete. I've always loved sports. I love the way it makes me feel. I love the process by which you prepare to compete, right? I love the feeling knowing that when I step on the field or when I'm about to compete at something that, man, there's no way anybody's done more than me to compare to get ready to compete, right? To get ready to be the best. And so
Preparation.
Absolutely. And so in reflecting on it, yeah, that's the way I grew up. That's the way I've been wired, right? But then all of a sudden there's just this huge sense of gratitude, you know, like, man, how many others do I know out there are better athletes than me, or, you know, can throw the ball harder, further, you know, I mean, all these things. And yet, man, I've had the opportunity to be in some unbelievable situations, to be around some unbelievable people like you. And like, why me? Like, why has God blessed me with that opportunity, right? And so then it's this motivation to be like, well, if he's put me in this position, then I owe it.
Right.
I owe it to the, you know, God's grace and blessing, and I owe it to everybody else around me to be the best that I could possibly be and to make the most out of the opportunity that I have. And you know, I know that this chapter is going to be over soon, right? This isn't going to last forever. And I'll be as excited about the next chapter, whatever that is, when that time comes, right? Again, because it's just, man, it's God's blessing, and it's the opportunity, and it's like, man, what's he got next for me? And, you know, what can I go attack and try to be the best at next?
Well, one of the things I think you do best is exactly what you're talking about, is staying in the moment. People always ask me, what makes Drew unique? And I think one of the things, you've always stayed tremendously humble. We've talked about, you know, humility and hunger. And then you compartmentalize things better than anyone I know. You've got, you know, a family. You've got a lot of demands on your time, and you can compartmentalize things. What allows you to do that? How do you approach that mentally? Of like, you want to be a great dad, you want to be a great philanthropist, and the Brees Dream Foundation gives a ton back to New Orleans, San Diego, throughout the country. You're a great teammate. You've got so many demands. What do you do mentally to compartmentalize so many things?
So it's funny, because I would say, like, if you said, hey, what's your weakness, but what do you kind of do to yourself to make it hard on yourself? I'm like, man, I put so much on my plate, right?
Yes.
I do. I put so much on my plate.
Yes,
and so
do.
at times, like, I look at a daily schedule, I'm like, gosh, why did I back to back to back to back? And yet by doing that, I'm forcing myself to have to compartmentalize. Like, all right, this hour we are in FQ10, right? So, man, let's lock in, let's focus, and let's just be in the moment and be the best that we can be at this right now. Because I don't want to be thinking about all this other stuff I got to do, man, because I got to be the best. And you know what? Maybe this is a little bit of an escape from all of that that I put on my plate. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
right.
So then once it's done, it's like, all right, like, I've earned the right to move on to the next hour. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's almost that mindset, like, I got to put in the time now to earn the right to go. It's like during the season, like, I know I am going to drive home from the facility at 7:00. Like, I'm walking out the doors at 7:00 to go, like, read a book to my kids so that I can see them and spend time with them before they go to bed, right? But I have a list of things I have to get done prior to 7:00.
Right.
Like, and so it's like, I've put that pressure on myself. You have to get done with this stuff if you want to go home and be in the moment with your kids. So I put the pressure on myself. I've put myself under the gun, but it's that sense of urgency that's being created also that I think puts me in the frame of mind of this deep practice. Like, all right, man, I'm going to lock in. I'm going to focus. I'm going to get the most out of that information that I need to study. And so then 7:00 comes around, and I know that as I'm driving home, I can just be like, whew, like, the work is done, and now I can be in the moment with my kids. I can maximize that time. And then once the kids are in bed, I can maximize that 30, 45 minutes I get with Britt, just to watch a show or just decompress, and then, man, go to bed and then wake up and it's Groundhog Day.
See, folks, it's real. Drew is no different than anyone else. In that case, lots of things on his plate, like all of you parents out there listening in, laughing right now, gets home at 7 p.m., has a laundry list of things to do, and you get into the facility typically at what time in the mornings?
Shoot, I mean, I'm getting up at 5. So 5:30 into the facility.
Right. Long day.
Yeah, it's a long day. But all this stuff, it's the balance of life too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I know I need to take care of the stuff at the facility so that I can go home and be Drew the dad, right, and Drew the husband. But then I know that's the thing that really fills my bucket, like time with my kids and time with my wife, time with my family. That's what really fills my bucket, to then allow me to go back to work and be like, all right, now I'm all in at work. I'm not thinking about what's happening at home. So it's just when you're all in and you're all in the moment of where you are, that's also what allows you then to move on to the next, task or duty and be the best at that.
I always say that, be where your feet are at. So if you're wearing the dad hat, you're being a great dad. You're not on your phone. And then if you're training, you're training, and you do a great job when you're at Fitness Quest 10. Like, you're locked in on that. So folks, I think that's one thing that we could always remember is be where your feet are at, because sometimes our minds are always somewhere else. So be where your feet are at. Drew, I want to talk about mindset even more so, off season versus in season. How do you manage your mindset so you don't get so much pressure on yourself in the off season versus how does it differ than when you're in season? Mindset for preparation for football.
In season is such a grind. Mm-hmm. I mean, truly, like the only time I relax in season is when the game ends, for just the rest of that day, Like, if it's a home game, I'm going on the field with my kids and we're throwing the ball around, and maybe we go out to eat with some friends, or we go home and we watch Sunday Night Football, and then we're going to bed. But then the minute your feet hit the ground Monday morning, it's, all right, who's the next opponent? And then here's all the stresses of, how are we going to handle this guy, and what do we do here? And, then your mind starts, on to the next level of preparation. But
so you get about 4 hours off.
Yeah, the off season the off season, especially lately. I've gotten to that point where it's very much a ramp up, right? So
definitely.
Man, season ends and I do need time away, right? Time away, recharge the battery. Like, I don't even want to touch a football. I don't want to touch a weight. Yep. It's good to get away, get a lot of family time, and then you begin that slow ramp up, right? And then we've developed, you and I and we've developed a great plan, I think, for how we handle March and April and May, and then you get back to Saints with practices and things, and that's when it gets fun because, hey, you start seeing the young guys that are being added and the roles that they're going to fill, and then as June, July get here, man, then we're ramping it up, getting ready for training camp, and then the mindset starts to the switch starts to flip, and you're like, all right, this is preparation now to go into the season at the top of our game.
I look at it like cycling energy, because it used to be like cycling time, and we're always trying to manage time. Now I think the most important thing is, how do you manage energy? How do you cycle energy so that really you need to be ready come report of training camp? That's when you need to be ready. Right. So how do you do that? And we used to take a couple days off after the season and get right back into it. And now it mentally and all the responsibilities, you can't do that because you'd be shot. You would not be peaking at the right time. And I think sustainability as a high performer, it doesn't matter if you're an NFL quarterback, you're a trainer, you're a coach, you're a police officer, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, whatever you do, it's all about energy. And how do you manage and cycle your energy so you can hit your energy at the peak time? If it's a Sunday, you got to be right at the right time. Your energy's got to be right on, the preparation, the strength, the mentality. If it's a Monday night game, how you manage your energy where you sit all day and peak at late at night. To me, it's energy is a crucial thing.
A lot of times too, it's I think for me now at this stage in my career, man, everything has a purpose. Mm-hmm. Like everything I do has a purpose. And so if what I am doing is not helping me be a better husband, father, or football player, like, it's a waste of time. Yep. So I can't afford to waste a moment, a second, an opportunity, a rep. It used to be when I was young, I could go out and throw 150 balls a day, no problem, right? But that's not the case now. And so every single rep has to be meaningful, has to be purposeful, intentional. So I think that has helped me to become even more laser focused on each and every rep, each and every opportunity, because I just don't want to waste a single one of them.
Mm-hmm. Let's go inside of a game. I want to get inside your head during a game, what it's like when I've been down in the Superdome and there's 90,000 screaming fans. But I often look at football games and there's momentum shifts. Mm-hmm. When something goes wrong during a game, when I say wrong, a momentum shifts against you guys, what goes through your mind?
Well, you immediately, football is absolutely a game of momentum, because momentum then equates to confidence, right? And when you're out there and you're relaxed and you're confident, man, you're going to play much better, right? Because you're not thinking, you're just reacting. That's when the preparation and everything just kind of takes over, right? When you feel like momentum is against you, that's when you start to press, right? That's when you start to maybe overthink, overanalyze, and I think that's when you get yourself in trouble. And so when momentum shifts against us, the first thing I think is just one play at a time. One play at a time. Small wins that will help us get the momentum back, right? So, hey, you turn the ball over, the other team goes and they score 2 quick ones on you and you're down 14 or something like that. Well, the only thing we can control right now at this moment is our ability to take this ball right now and to go down the field and score. Well, before we can score, we got to get the first down, right? So let's just focus on this next play. And let's just take it one play at a time, man. We get that first down. Okay. Then we get the next first down. You get first downs, all of a sudden you bump your head on the goalpost, right? and you got now you've seized the momentum back, right? And so you really do have to break it down into just the one at a time. And so then it just becomes very much just being in the moment, right? One play at a time. Let's seize it back.
And what if that momentum shift was you threw a horrible pass, you threw an interception, and you're like, gosh, I watched so much film. I knew the safety was going to jump. I threw it. It was bad. And it was, quote, your fault. Yeah. Do you still have the same mentality?
Absolutely. The first thing I say always is, man, they got lucky. A bit of a gunslinger mentality. It's like, hey, I throw it again. I just throw it a little bit better this time, right? Well, because there's always something. It's like, hey, I was late, so I just got to throw it earlier. Right. It was a good decision. I was just late. Or, you know what? I just missed the throw, right? So, but then I could probably find some element as to why I missed the throw, right? I mean, I'm veteran enough in my years, and I know enough about, my ability to make that throw as to what might have gone wrong that caused me to miss it. And so, you have to, as a QB, have a very short-term memory when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like you have to be able to move on to the next play, not just for your own psyche, but to instill confidence in everybody else around you. Like, man, I'm going to come back and I'm going to rip that thing again,
So what if you're a young athlete today, and if it's a quarterback or any sport, boys or girls sports, how do you develop that? Because you've been playing for over 30 years in all your combined time. How do you develop that? Is that something that your self-talk, you just constantly reminding yourself after a mistake that, I got to get the next one?
Yeah. It's just the same. It's the same thing when something really good happens, right? Don't allow that to affect what happens next.
Beautiful.
In any type of negative way. You just like when something good happens, you don't want to be overconfident, right? You still want to go through the same thought process, same mechanics on the next play. I have a specific thought process on every single play, right? Just from when I break the huddle to as I check the clock to, the play clock, to as I'm making sure that everyone's lined up correctly, that, hey, I'm checking the safeties and I'm checking the backers and I'm blinking the front, and you have this checklist of things. I mean, just like if you were a pilot, right? And you got this checklist as you're checking your plane before takeoff, man. I mean, that's what it is. And then as you see what's happening, you got to check out of a play, or, oh, there's the opportunity over here. There's Mike Thomas singled on so-and-so, and we're going to give him a signal, and we're going to go make a play, right? And so you just again, these are the things that, man, you visualize throughout the week, and it's just part of your preparation so that when you get into the game, man, you see it and you don't even think about it. Like you just react. That's you've programmed yourself.
And that checklist happens in about, what, 7 seconds?
Oh, it's quick, but I've been doing it for a long time. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk to these young athletes today. Maybe you're a parent listening in. You want to let your son or daughter listen into this podcast episode inside Drew's mindset. But what advice would you give to any young kids today that they want to be great in sports, they want to be good in sports, and maybe they're 7 years old, maybe they're 10, or maybe they're in high school? Yeah. What advice would you give? What are a couple things that you could share with them on some wisdom on just how to be their best?
Yeah. Well, I first thing I'd say is I think sports and the arts are two of the greatest things you can do as a kid, because it teaches you teamwork, it teaches you affiliation, it teaches you empathy. It's truly how you begin to develop your social skills. Working with other people, you develop an accountability, right? Inevitably, you have to learn how to overcome adversity, right? You have to learn how to handle success. You have to learn how to handle failure. Every kid is at a different level, right? I just look at my 3 boys, right, who are playing sports right now, and they're all so different. One of them is hyper competitive, like wants to eat your heart. The kid's 8 years old, but like I can tell like that he's got the fire, One of them's a bit more happy-go-lucky, and he's just happy to be out there. He's just happy to be with his buddies, And then another one is super talented, and is the work ethic or the desire when things get tough. We got to learn how to fight through that adversity. But that's what sports is. Like it teaches you those things, right? In many cases, you don't just have those things, but you have to learn those things, right? And that's what sports is all about. And so, I try to do this with my kids. First of all, I want them to have fun, right?
Absolutely.
Sports should be fun, especially for kids that age, right? Until you get to middle school, high school, sports is meant to be fun because you just want the kids to keep coming back. Keep coming back, and at some point, like the light bulb's going to go on. At some point, it's going to click, right? And there may be that defining moment, right, that leads them in a certain direction, and it may not even be sports related, but it's something they're going to learn from the sport that's going to allow them to go on the path that they're going to go on, that's going to be a positive thing for them. So have fun, number one. Number two, have them play as many sports as possible for as long as they possibly can. That exposure to a number of different sports, I think, develops a skill set that will carry over to whatever they end up specializing in at some point. Okay, for example, I'm sure a lot of people watched that Wimbledon match the other day,
unbelievable.
Right? Unbelievable, right? Like, even if you aren't a tennis fan, which I don't watch tennis all the time, but you're watching 2 of the greatest of all time, right? Djokovic and Federer. And these guys play the longest match in history, right? But I sat there and it brought back memories. I played tennis as a kid. And if you were to ask me, what is the one sport that you feel like has benefited you the most in what you do today, I would probably say tennis. What the footwork that tennis requires in order to put yourself in a position to, the timing and rhythm of hitting a tennis ball, forehand, backhand, your feet, your anticipation, have that lateral movement, that forward back, just that constant, having to hit from different arm angles, right?
Absolutely.
All those things carry over to playing the quarterback position. You can sit there and draw parallel after parallel, right? It was probably also the thing that benefited me the most in baseball. Forehand, backhand, I was a switch hitter. I never really knew why. Forehand, backhand, right? Right hand, left hand. I could hit both ways. So there's things that you're going to be able to take from every sport that you play, because each one requires a little bit of a different skill set. But, man, you're just like logging that stuff in the bank, right?
Before you move on, you talk tennis. Is there a rumor? There's a rumor that you once played Andy Roddick in a tennis match.
Well, we played, so he's from Austin, I'm from Austin, so we played each other 4 times when we were kids. And he was 2 years younger than me, but he was a phenomenal talent, obviously, right? He was a prodigy. And so he always played in the division up. because he was so good. He would destroy the kids his age, so he would come and play in the division up. So I played him in either the semifinals or the finals of 4 tournaments. I beat him the first 3 times, but it got closer and closer each time. And I think when I was 12, he was 10, he beat me.
Oh, man.
And then you knew the direction he was going, all right? And then that was my time to get out and go do something else. But
the last couple of years, I know with your passion for kids and your kids, guys, follow Drew on Instagram because he actually shares his kids just actually whooping on each other in these different sports. But talk to me about one of your greatest passions the last couple of years is with FNA and what you guys are doing to change the landscape a lot of youth sports, not just flag football, but sports. What's the whole purpose behind that?
So listen, I love the game of football. I know what it's meant for me. I know what it's done for me in my life and my career and the lessons it's taught me. I got boys that want to play, that love the game too, right? Can't get enough of it. So about 4 years ago when my oldest son, Balin, wanted to start playing, started looking around and flag football was going to be, the choice for us. I'm of the opinion, and I think a lot of parents are, with football that, maybe starting tackle a little bit later if that's what they want to do. Probably closer to middle school is more appropriate. And so started looking at the flag football landscape, and there was really no consistency to what anybody was doing with flag football. And you look at youth sports, and football is the one that's kind of the outlier because every other sport, like if you play youth basketball, in most cases it's 5-on-5, just like normal. You play baseball, it's 9-on-9, just like normal. Football is the one where it's like, okay, well, flag is it? There's 5-on-5, there's 6-on-6, there's 7-on-7. I mean, you got all these different ways of doing it and all these different rules. And so I looked at it and was like, you know what? We should really find a way to standardize, create a uniform standard, the gold standard for flag football that accomplishes a couple things. Number one, it puts kids in a position where it's accelerated skill development. Like really let's focus on equipping these coaches, equipping these leagues with providing the best skill development element that we can to our leagues, number one. Number two, the life skills element. Like really go to the next level in regards to helping to equip the coaches and the parents and the kids themselves as to, learning the life skills that this game can provide, helping them develop a love and a passion for the game. And number three, providing the ultimate family experience that we can through the game. Because as a parent, I'm coming at this from 3 different areas. Number one, I played flag football up until 9th grade. I didn't put pads on until 9th grade. And so I know what flag football helped do for me to help me develop and prepare to play tackle football in high school. Number two, I'm a parent, right? So I'm a parent who has kids who want to play. So I'm from that perspective as well. And number three, I want to coach my kids in everything they do, right? I mean, my daughter comes to me, she wants me to coach her in ballet. I'm going to do my best. I don't know anything about it, but man, I'm going to throw myself into it, right? I just want to be around my kids. I want to coach my kids. So I see it from those 3 different perspectives. And so everything we've done with our league, from the way that we've tried to create the ultimate family environment to the way that we've tried to provide all types of resources for coaches to give parents the opportunity to coach their kids. Because we understand football is somewhat specialized. There's a lot of parents that have never coached their kids. There was a mom in our league this year whose daughter had all 2nd grade girls team, and the daughter went to her mom and said, hey, I want you to coach us. And she goes to our school, and so she came to me and she's like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I said, well, we've got all these resources on our website that sample playbooks and sample practice scripts and sample drills, videos, and all this other stuff. And so combined with that and just her ability to research it, her team went like 6-3. They made it to the semifinals. I mean, they were awesome. This all-girls 2nd grade team with the mom as the coach, right? I love it. So like that's the type of thing we're trying to create. We're trying to create this environment where, it's a co-ed youth flag football league, man. It's meant to be fun. It's competitive, but it's girls, it's boys, kids of all skill levels, whether they go on and play tackle football ever or not, that's not the point. The point is have fun, develop skills, develop the life skills, the confidence, and create the ultimate family experience.
Could you guys imagine being the coach of the other team and you walk out and you're like, oh, shoot, Drew Brees is the coach of the other team? We're going to get smoked today. Do you see those coaches? They're probably like, man. And then I know you coach the defense, right?
Well, yeah. So my 4th grade team, I coached the defense. Yeah. 2nd grade team, coached the offense. 1st grade team, coached the offense.
All right. Yeah. Can you imagine those play calls right there? That'd be awesome. If someone wants to learn more about FNA, where
they can go to playfna.com. Playfna.com. And truly, So we started off with 3 leagues 2 years ago. We are going to have 23 leagues nationwide this coming fall, and we're probably going to double in size every season. And we play spring and fall, which is really cool. So fall and spring. We're planning on truly making this the uniform standard for flag football nationwide.
Wow. So anywhere in the country, if you guys want, playfna.com. Get all the information there, and you might be getting a coach against Drew in a game. Let's wrap with a couple final questions. What's the hardest thing about your job that no one knows about?
Oh, man. As a football player?
Yeah, as a football player.
I would say the balance of getting everyone to buy in on a daily basis with everything that you're doing, and to feel like you're truly putting everybody in the best position to succeed. You know, I think that's the pressure I feel as a quarterback is that, okay, what's the number one objective for the team? It's to win, right? But you get so invested with each guy, each one of your teammates, and you see how hard they work, and you see how, and you want them to buy into the team philosophy, but you also want to provide them with the best opportunities to succeed as well. You know, so like the part that will, so for example, maybe there's that guy, right? And he's like your unsung hero, right? Man, you're asking him to block 50 snaps a game, right? And then there's that 1 or 2 pass plays that get in the plan, right? That's going to give him an opportunity. Maybe one of them's to score a touchdown, right? And then you get in the game and all of a sudden he's open and you miss him, right? Like, to me, that crushes me more than anything, because it's like I want each guy to have their moment, right? They work so hard to have that opportunity. Like, for me, I want to be able to walk away from the game and say, man, everybody kind of got their opportunity, right? Everybody is walking away from this feeling like, you know, even though I'm the guy who blocks 50 snaps a game, I know that, you know, coach and the quarterback are looking out for me, right? And they're taking care of me. You know, I always want to feel like I'm the guy who's taking care of my guys. And so I'd say just the pressure and the responsibility of knowing, like, man, I want to be the guy who's taking care of everybody.
You've heard me talk a million times about get your mind right.
Yeah.
I'll send these crazy videos. You get these rooster calls coming back at me.
Right.
If we were to just share for a moment, if there's anyone listening in today that needs to get their mind right, a mom or a dad, grandma, grandpa, a young kid, how do you get your mind right? How would you suggest they get their mind right?
You know, I think the times where I get most frustrated with myself, and this truly is like a get your mind right moment, is when I wake up and I don't have a plan for the day. You know, so I've gotten in the habit of every night, you know, just jotting down a few notes. Like, man, when I get up in the morning, I'm going to accomplish this. Like, this is the first thing I'm going to do. Because once that happens, then you build, you develop a little confidence. And it's like, all right, man, it's the make your bed philosophy, right? It's the make your bed. Admiral McRaven, right? Like, get up, make your bed. You've accomplished something, right? And so then it's on to the next objective, and then you knock that down. It's on to the next
kids,
objective.
Hear that, kids?
You knock that down, right? Yeah, make your bed. Yeah, for them, not literally, but yes. So you can bounce a quarter off it. But it's that mindset. It's that when you wake up and you immediately start a mindset of productivity, then I think you not only develop confidence, but, man, you feel good about yourself, and you feel like you're getting a jump start on the day. And I think it's just starting the day off the right way.
Absolutely.
You know, and it just sets the tone. It sets the tone for the rest of the day. Otherwise, I feel like you kind of go through the day, and I know I've had these moments where it's like, man, I wasted an hour this morning. I can't get that hour back. You know what I'm saying? I could have done this, and this, and I got distracted, or I did this, I did that. So, man, when you can wake up and you feel like you've gotten a jump start on the day, I think it just sets the tone.
Great advice. Win the day. Win the day. And you've talked about that before. Last question, predictions for the upcoming season. 2018, that season's been put to bed. ended on a sour note. It's a new year. The slate is clean. What's your predictions, Drew, going into this season?
Well, how about we sign Darren Sproles back and
yes,
and go win a Super Bowl?
Now we're talking. Now we're talking.
I love it. Been training with Sproles here for a couple of weeks, man. We talk about it every day.
That is the truth. Well, you know,
yeah, no, shoot, it's you know, I love our team. I feel like you know, there was a tough couple of years there, 14, 15, 16, where I felt like the locker room kind of shifted. You know, we lost a ton of leadership after the 13 season, and it was one of these, man, a lot of young guys, and I think we just lost our way for a little bit. And then I think the entire organization kind of recognized that, made a big commitment to bring in the right guys, and did that through free agency, really drafted well. Got to give our front office a ton of credit for going out and drafting some studs, you know, not just guys that could play, but really good locker room guys, good leaders. And so we've kind of entered this window of time where, man, a lot of these guys are entering, you know, that second, third, fourth year, and man, it's time. And listen, we've made a run out the last 2 years, right, and just fallen short on some pretty crazy events, crazy circumstances, and yet, you know, undeterred, unwavering in our confidence, and just feeling like, man, this is our time, you know, and this is our window, and we don't want to take it for granted. We don't want to waste a single second. I can say this truly, man, I'm having as much fun playing football now as I ever have. And I think a lot of that has to do with the people that I'm able to play with each and every day. You know, I love our locker room, and I love our coaching staff, and, you know, I love the competitive environment that's created. And going into training camp, I mean, truly that's what it is. Like, for the next 4 weeks, I'm trying to beat our defense, and they're trying to beat me. But man, this is iron sharpens iron, right? I mean,
there it is.
That's like, you're trying to make each other better, and that's my job. Like, I'm trying to expose you so you can get this stuff fixed before the season, right? And you should do the same for me, right? Challenge me. So we're making each other better, and that's what training camp is all about in a lot of ways, and watching these young guys continue to grow and develop and see what roles they're going to play. But I mean, it doesn't get any easier, you know. Everybody retools, right? There's only one team that's happy at the end of the year, right? And that was the Patriots. Everybody else feels like you fell off a mountain, right? And now, over the last couple months, man, we're just taking step after step, man, climbing Kilimanjaro, right? Just one at a time.
Can you feel Drew as he's talking about training camp? He's like spitting at me, and he's staring at me across the way like he's ready to fight and all that stuff. Right. I just want to thank you, Drew. I know you're getting ready to leave for training camp to spend a few minutes here and impart your wisdom. Folks, when you talk about overcoming adversity and you read Drew's book, you study his career, he's a man of faith, of character. He's a great dad. He's a great husband. And he's a great example to any athlete, the pros, all the way down to the Pop Warner, to the boys and the girls, on how to best train physically, mentally, and spiritually, and to give back. Ultimately, at the end of the day, to give back. And I call that impact. That's legacy. Drew, thank you for what you do and who you are. And, man, I don't have to wish you well, because I know you've been preparing as hard as you ever have in 19 years. So, man, it's time to rock and roll, and I can't wait to see you real soon.
Me too, bro. Thank you.
Awesome job. Thank you, brother. Folks, was that awesome or what, to have Drew in the house today to fire you up literally just days before leaving for training camp. You can imagine when you leave for training camp, you got 1,000 things to do, and he had just finished training here at Fitness Quest 10. He's got to go pick his kids up, and he obliged to do an episode here. And to me, whenever you have a chance to listen to Drew, I think you respect him more as an athlete. Whether you're a Saints fan or a Drew Brees fan or not, it's hard not to like Drew Brees. He's always done it the right way. And for any pro who's been around for 19 years, man, and doing it at such a high level, just true respect. I think of like a guy like Cal Ripken Jr., who, you know, you talk about an Iron Man, to do that consecutively year after year and breaking so many records and making all pro teams. When you listen to the wisdom of Drew, not only as a husband and as a father, but as an athlete, I hope you young athletes there listening intently, because let me tell you what, I can count in the 17 years I've been working with Drew, the number of times that he has either canceled or been late to a session on one hand. Literally, he doesn't cancel sessions. He's not late. impeccably prepares like no one else in the world, and that's what makes him him. And also, remember this: we all have a life we're telling a story about. Drew said he didn't play football up until his freshman year. You got to remember he blew out his knee in his junior year, and he only had one scholarship offer coming out of high school. Only one scholarship offer. He was going to go to the Ivy League, and at the last moment, Purdue came in. Coach Joe Tiller came in, offered him a scholarship, and the rest is history. He went on to have a great career at Purdue, and of course got drafted in the second round, first pick in the second round by the San Diego Chargers, and paired up with LaDainian Tomlinson and helped turn that organization around. And to have Drew on the show today to talk about how to get your mind right on a regular basis, and when you hear about the mindset inside the helmet of a NFL quarterback, truly was awesome and to share with you. As you're watching NFL football this fall and you're watching the New Orleans Saints and number 9 do their thing, realize this, along with many of the other athletes that are on the field, there's always a story behind every one of those guys. Every one of those guys has a story, and they've been working their tail off. And that's why we love football so much. That's why football is such a great example of life, the adversity, the momentum shifts, the energy swings, and all that happens in between. And I love how Drew talked about in his faith and how he stays grounded and compartmentalize all the things. So hats off to Drew. It's been an honor to coach and train him for so long, and there is not one single offseason I take for granted. And as each and every season goes by, I always ask myself, man, is there going to be another offseason with this legend? Because he, without a doubt, will be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He will be a Hall of Famer within 5 years of his retirement. And hopefully we're talking 2 or 3 years or more from now when he retires, but you never know. As a special bonus today, I'm going to give you some extra bonus material. Just a few months ago, Drew surprised my mastermind retreat, all my folks that were at my mastermind event, and he showed up. No one knew about it. My team didn't even know he was coming. I asked Drew to show up and to impart some wisdom to these coaches and trainers around the globe, and he came to the venue, and we did a Q&A, and I want to just give you a few minutes of the hour talk that Drew gave about what it takes to be a champion. And although some of it overlaps what we talked about today, much of it is new. So let's listen to some of the bonus material now. We're going to go out to the Rancho Bernardo Inn here in beautiful San Diego, California at my mastermind retreat. And you gotta just feel the energy when not one of those souls in that room knew that Drew Brees was going to be the guest speaker, because I love surprises. You never know what you're going to get. And DB9 walks through and all of a sudden lights up the room with some energy. Let's go and listen to some of the footage now. I got my man Drew Brees in that house.
All I can do, just like I do each week when I turn on the game tape, is, all right, be accountable, be honest with yourself. Where can you get better, right? Where can you continue to improve? Because I find that in life we're still in a constant race to improve, right? Both with ourselves personally and whatever it is we are trying to accomplish, whether it's your business or in the framework of our team. I know this. I know that our team is resilient, and we have taken challenge after challenge over the last 3 years and continue to get better and better and become stronger and stronger. I've always felt like my greatest achievements, my greatest accomplishments, my most fulfilling moments have come after huge bouts of adversity. So adversity equals opportunity. From every level, and I can speak mostly to my football career, but certainly football and sports carries over so much to life, right? You learn so many life lessons through sports. It's those moments that truly mold you and strengthen you into who you were meant to be. And it's incredible when you can have mentors and friends and people around you like you, Todd, who have guided me through those times, because I would not be here without you. during those moments. And I know you've meant that to so many other people, especially the people in this room. But I'd say that shoulder injury for me, when I say truly I thought my career was over, that was a defining moment in my life. Because at that time, I said to myself, this is probably the worst thing that ever could have happened to me from a football perspective. A quarterback dislocating his throwing shoulder, right? This is probably the worst thing that could have happened to me. The last game of the season, going into a year that I no longer had a contract, right? So there's no motivation for anybody to want to keep me around, right? And then fast forward to a year later, 2006, leading my team to the NFC Championship game in New Orleans, winning the Walter Payton Man of the Year award with LaDainian Tomlinson, watching the city of New Orleans just bond together after Hurricane Katrina, and sitting there saying, you know what? Remember that injury when I said it was probably the worst thing that ever happened to me? It's probably the best thing that ever happened to me. Because I wouldn't be here without that. I wouldn't be a part of this great city, this great community, part of this great team, had this second chance at my career, and I think it's you just have to recognize that if you take that mindset, if you take the growth mindset, if you take the it's going to make me better mindset, then it will. It will. And you'll be forever changed for the better.
At the end of the day, hopefully many, many, many years from now, what do you want your legacy to be?
I want to be known as somebody that left it better than when he found it. So if I could take that approach to every aspect of my life, not just football, but family and community and every situation I ever find myself in, every endeavor that I train for or chase after, any occupation that I may have, if the goal and the objective and the mindset every day is to leave it better than when you found it, then I feel like you have accomplished something. You have left a legacy. You have created impact. You've made a difference.
There it is. The impact legacy.
You! Hey, trainers and coaches, I'm talking to you. Super proud to talk to you today about the Todd Durkin Mastermind Program. It's a best-in-class business leadership, marketing, training, and personal development program for those seeking maximum success in life. The Mastermind includes 2 live retreats. And let me tell you what, these are game-changing events that you are going to absolutely love, where you can step away and work on your business and work on you. And I'll be leading those bad boys. Monthly coaching calls and webinars, weekly emails from yours truly, a website with all my best products and programs, a private Facebook page with about 200 other fire-breathing dragons, which you can connect with at any time. And these people are the best of the best in the industry. Access to yours truly to coach you, and then some. I love that word, and then some, because I love surprises and I love over-delivering. Hey, the bottom line is your network is your net worth. And if you want to up your game, today is the day. If that's you, I'd love the opportunity to coach you. Hop over to ToddDurkinMastermind.com. That's ToddDurkinMastermind.com, and let me help you create impact today.